you shouldn't bother with this phone because it's not designed for you. It's not aimed at the conventional smartphone user. If you don't want a phone that can be more than a phone when it's in your pocket, then the Z Fold 6 isn't for you. Let's go. This review is going to be unlike any other Z Fold 6 review that you've seen. I have had every single Galaxy Fold since it began as a category. Fold 1, Fold 2, Fold 3, Fold 4, Fold 5, and now Fold 6. When you get to see where they've started and where they are now and everything in between, you start to appreciate Samsung's vision for a foldable. I'm not going to talk specs. I will barely talk about numbers. This is going to be talking about the practical use, the experience of using a foldable in a day-to-day situation, and how this form factor can truly be transformative for your life. I want to start with the actual design of the Fold 6 specifically, because what Samsung have done here is they have taken what was their original concept, which is a comfortable to use cover screen and then a tablet on the inside, and made it nearly perfect. The front screen is so practical and easy to use one-handed that even though it's slightly wider than it was last year, I don't think that's made too big of an impact on that one-handed comfortability. And having a smaller cover screen is perfectly fine because you have that big screen in the middle. You're not just missing out on having lots of room to play with. You simply unfold it out of your pocket and you've got a full-on fledged tablet to use. The compact nature of it when it's closed is what makes it so appealing to use in this state. Because if you've got lots of things in your hands, you're carrying coffee, you've got kids, having a phone that's so comfortable and slimline in this way is so good to have. Samsung with the Fold 6 this year have really done well to slim the exterior areas to make sure you're getting mostly screen. What I mean by external areas is one, of course, they've flattened out the side rails, but also the hinge area has been completely trimmed down. So it's not protruding out on the side and you're holding more phone and less screen. You're now holding more screen and less phone. So that extra bit of width that the phone has added isn't just width of the fold and the materials, it's actually width on the display, and they've trimmed everything else down around it. Bezels included. Any bigger, whether it be taller or wider, and it's just a normal phone, normal slab phone. And I think for me, that kind of defeats the purpose of what the foldable design is all about. You need to have that compact one-handed usage when it's closed, so you can then access the bigger screen when it's open. Now, what's really interesting is after I shot this review, Samsung announced the Z Fold SE. Make sure you hit subscribe because there could be some exciting news around the SE for this channel. What I also have come to appreciate about the Fold 6 in my usage too is the squarer design. The flatter rails, as I mentioned, do make it a lot sort of nicer to look at, aesthetically pleasing, but I also have appreciated the squarer corners. With the Fold 5, I feel like the radius of the corner was heavily curved and it kind of became a waste of space because it still kind of took up that room, but you weren't getting anything extra for it. Whereas I think making it a bit sharper in the corners here, you're getting the screen pushed out all the way to the corner and the software kind of takes advantage of that extra room and just looks nicer. I think it feels nicer too. It being lighter than previous generations of Fold 2 has made it feel more like a normal phone. Where Samsung started, you could see every year they made a big deal about how the phones were getting lighter. The folds weren't going to be as heavy, and they didn't really sacrifice too much, at least in the early years. As time's gone on, you could probably say that Samsung could do a little bit more, especially around sort of the thickness of the phone. But the way it is now, it actually isn't too bad being this thick. It doesn't feel like you're holding like a toy or something fragile. There's some sturdiness to it. I think that sort of dispels the myth that foldables aren't durable. The Z Fold 6 and every Fold, to be honest, in my sort of experience, I've never had any durability concerns. I go down to the beach. I live near the beach. I take it in external areas where there might be rain, and especially now that they're water and dust resistant with IP48, it's the only number I'm probably going to mention, I think I have way more confidence now than I've ever had. I went to a football grand final, and what was really great is in the change rooms afterwards, when, you know, the team won, scored a last minute winner, absolute limbs and scenes, recording with the Fold in the change rooms with water sort of splashing everywhere, I had no concerns for the phone's safety because of that water resistance. Durability-wise, I've never had any concerns, and this year I've never been more confident. I hate talking about the cameras on a Fold and on the Fold 6. I might rephrase. I hate engaging in conversations about the cameras on the Fold 6. People seem to always miss the point. They don't quite understand what it's for. They just tend to focus on hardware specs and output. Not that the output's bad. In fact, the output's excellent. Samsung seems to do extra bit of processing for the Fold series when it comes to output of video and photos. They aren't the ultra cameras. We know this. Samsung are the only ones that don't put their ultra highest end camera systems onto a foldable. The Pixel 9 Pro XL has a much weaker camera setup than its 9 Pro XL. No one seems to really bat an eyelid about that. But for some reason, Samsung gets held to this ridiculously high standard when it comes to the cameras that are on the back of these things. A Fold's camera setup isn't just about the physical camera hardware that sits on the back. It's about so much more. And on foldables in particular, no one has a more complete camera experience than what Samsung does. The output, as I said, is perfectly serviceable for day-to-day life. The photo output is great. The video quality has been more than enough for me to be able to take B-roll shots for my YouTube channel and A-roll while we're on it. Got lots of resolutions to choose from, lots of modes. It's packed. Everything you could want is in there. This shot here of my kids on the swing was taken with the ultra-wide camera on the Z Fold 6, a camera that so many people say negative things about, but I'm so happy with how it turned out and Samsung's optimization with the software that it's just so good to have this and then everything else that comes with it. But a Fold is all about its form factor, and what makes it about the form factor is the hinge. Being able to have this rest on a flat surface and then be able to use it to capture content without needing to sort of hover over it is truly game changing. It takes it from being just a smartphone camera into like a portable content machine, using it at important family moments, like my son winning a football carnival and just getting the camera on the floor to record it, meaning that I can stand there and just enjoy the moment of him proudly displaying the trophy and his medal. Or being able to go in the backyard with the kids, and if my son's wanting to practice football, put the phone down, record the moment, but also become involved in it. I don't have to just stand there behind the camera to record him. I can become part of it, coach him, and be in that memory for future sort of viewings. I use it regularly for YouTube. In fact, the flex mode has saved me on a number of occasions where I've wanted to quickly set the phone down and record some A-roll, and all I have to do is put the phone down, find a nice sort of framing angle, and away I go. Great for B-roll too. Helps me capture when I'm out on the move without needing to bring sort of bulky tripods with me. I shot a Galaxy Buds comparison video, which you can check out up here, and the microphone test portion was shot entirely using flex mode with the Galaxy Z Fold 6 and Pro Video mode. But it goes beyond just the flex mode hardware. Samsung have built the software around it as well. I love when you pop it down to that flex mode and just seeing the transition from the software going into the bottom for control and the top for viewing. It's so intuitive that it does that. But even the camera modes that surround it, modes like auto framing, which allow you to sort of put the phone down and then have it follow people around a room or a space without needing to touch it. Beautiful. The software, when it's open, is just another facet of it, because it's not just, let's just fill the display with the viewfinder. It's, let's find a way to make it more user-friendly. Take advantage of this space. Press the little button in the top corner and it splits the display in two. One half you have the preview where you can change the modes and see what's going on. And the other side, you have the review where all the photos you've taken, like I think 3 or 4 sort of pop up. You can see them in a bigger review, and you can pinch to zoom on it. You can long press and delete it, and you can see that immediately, as opposed to needing to see it in that little circle down the bottom corner. You've got some access there. Or even the fact that when the phone is open, you can actually turn on the cover screen as a preview, or have full camera operation from the cover screen when the phone is like this. Can you see yourself? Because you drag this along here, and then it takes it from the inner display to the cover display. And now I have full camera operation on the outside. And then when I need to, I can flip it back around this way and drag it back to the inside here. What I really love using the cover screen preview for is for my kids, especially when they're getting distracted and there's too much going on. Allowing them to look at themselves, because kids love looking at themselves for some reason, is really incredible. No, incredible is probably a bit too much, but it is very useful in a lot of different scenarios, especially when you're out and about capturing photos of a lot of kids sort of together. Now, that's a lot. right? And I can imagine when you sort of go through these features with some people, that it might be too much for them because they just might like the simple point and shoot nature of a smartphone, recording vertically, holding the phone, following it around, and then putting it back in their pocket. But you might like the sound of this. You might like the sort of freedom and the opportunities that this gives you, because you can also do it in a normal smartphone way. The cameras on here are good enough to do that. And then you have the added extra benefit of having the extra stuff that you can do with it as well. The last part here is about utility. Normally, I would kind of split this up into sort of productivity, and then I would talk about entertainment. I try and sort of differentiate them. But for me, the utility of the Fold kind of needs to have them both together. It's so many things. It's the convenience of the two screens. I really enjoy using the cover screen to sort of just start the process of browsing. Whether that be looking on a website, whether that be looking for a video to watch, whether that be just being on social media. And then when I need to and I find the thing I'm looking for, I've got the confidence to go to the bigger screen and see it and be more immersed in it, because you're not just limited to what you've got at the start, you can unfold for more. And because of the way the software is built, it just goes to that spot. It transitions exactly where you started to where you were. Then there's the software that surrounds flex mode, because it's not just in camera, there's software around other things too. To Samsung's credit, they do a really good job at forcing things to support their hardware. If an app developer doesn't get on board, Samsung just builds it into oneui. For example, Samsung have built something called Flex Mode Panel. And this Flex Mode Panel, you can turn it on with any app that you like, or when you open an app and flex the phone, the little pop-up shows up and then you press it and it activates it. It's such a really cool tool to have, because there's not only things like a touchpad control in there, which allows you to have a little mouse on the screen, operate it like a laptop almost, but there's also media controls for apps that don't have flex mode support. Spotify, for example, pop it into flex mode and then you've got the media controls at the bottom and then the music playing on the top half. Or apps like VLC Player, which is not a sort of a traditional media player, but you can activate flex mode and have the media controls there for the content you're viewing. But there are apps that support flex mode natively. YouTube being sort of one of the main ones, and no surprise, it's a Google app and this is running Android, so you'd hope that they would be on board. And they are, they've been for a while. Google have supported it sort of in two ways. You do get the media controls that YouTube provide, but they also still give you the option to remove them and have the comments displaying down the bottom with the content playing in the top half. And lots of people don't seem to understand the point of it. It's not about having the biggest screen possible in this way. It's the convenience of having your own stand on your own phone, not needing to rely on a case, not needing to buy something extra and make the phone bulkier to do something when your phone in your pocket already does it. But with all the entertainment stuff, nothing really beats the knowledge that you have a tablet everywhere you go. The amount of times I've gone, maybe I should bring my Tab S9 Ultra today, and I don't. I go, nah, you know what? I'll just put the S Pen in my pocket and away I go. The multitasking software that surrounds the inner display is so intuitive. And because you have that roomier screen, you actually can get a lot more done and know that you can at the same time. Emailing on one side and checking information on your calendar on the other side is so good. Or just even reading an article and putting it into an email. Having that and the room to do so, so good to have. And then being able to bring in another app in like a pop-up window over the top or into the corner, you're not limited to just what other people think you can do. Some software developers, Samsung kind of free it up and make it open, and it's only limited by what the current hardware is, which is things like RAM and chip performance. And Samsung don't really sort of put too much limits on that. It's not even about the software sometimes. Often it's just about having that bigger screen to feel roomier, to feel like you have more space. It's that old stepbrother saying, look at all this room for activities. You've cleared away a lot of the floor space that was devoted to beds, and now you've got all this room that you can get stuff done. That's kind of what this is like. And then putting the S Pen capability on top of that, I was in a meeting just this morning actually, and with the pen handy, it was really good to have a tablet and a big screen to write on. Everyone else at the meeting had pens and paper and notebooks. I didn't need any of that. I just had this. And I should mention Galaxy AI, because whilst it doesn't really sort of become part of the foldable conversation, it's more just like an ecosystem feature. I would say that having it on the Fold with the bigger screen for features like sketch to image has been a lot of fun. Working in the generative edit function in the gallery, having the pen to work with and having the bigger canvas, yeah, it's really convenient. The thing is, if you've never had a fold, you won't understand. If you've had one and don't appreciate it, then I guess a foldable just isn't for you. But if what I've been showing and the things I've said appeal to you, if you want to do something a little bit different, if you're sick of a normal slab smartphone experience, then you might want to try this. Go grab a Z Fold 6. You won't regret it. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You!